Chapter 1. Your decisions determine your path in life. It's difficult to know exactly how, when, or where to find your passion. If you eventually get started, there's self-doubt and many other internal and external factors to conquer. The truth is that when you feel fear and many other types of resistance, it means you are on the right path. Whenever you are pushing your boundaries and treading a new path, these things are bound to happen. You don't have to change everything at once. One step at a time is good enough. It's okay to start with what you have. Contrary to what you may have read or heard, you don't have to do anything drastic like quit your job or leave your family. Once you're honest with yourself and ready to take action, you can change your life in little steps. You don't have to try and figure things out or force progress. Henry Gentile. In 2009, Henry Gentile started a blog called Wake Up Cloud. He soon discovered that people wanted to know what fueled his passion to follow his dreams. This inspired him to focus more on his passion and create this book much later. So if you're having trouble finding out what you are good at or what your passion truly is, this summary is for you. You should take the time to read this summary slowly and answer the questions in each chapter. Doing this will unearth insights that'll keep you on the path of your success and reveal the barriers stopping you from achieving your dreams. Keep reading to find out the questions that can help you discover your passion. Chapter 2. Your definition of passion is crucial to your finding it. Have you ever looked at what your definition of passion is? Most people haven't. They're trying to build a passionate life, all while having no idea what it is. How can you know you have arrived when you don't know what you're after? You need to ask yourself what passion means to you. This first question is about digging deep into the ideas, beliefs, and thoughts you have around the word passion. It's about uncovering unrealistic expectations of what living your passion means. When you look beyond the things in your immediate environment, you'll discover that it isn't about finding your passion. It's about enjoying the moment. If you notice discomfort when you try to answer any question you ask yourself, you've reached the core of the issue. As you do this, you will have to go through what your friends, family, and society have told you about passion is, and you have to uncover what it means for you. That's the only thing that matters. Look at your definition of passion. What beliefs, ideas, and thoughts do you have around it? Get a pen and paper and write without censoring yourself. If you run out of things to say, just write whatever comes to mind, such as, I don't know what to say, this is weird, I'd like some chocolate ice cream. Keep writing through good feelings and bad feelings. If you go off track, gently bring yourself to the original question. Living a passionate life is rarely what people think it is. Many have wrong ideas of what the concept of life is. On realization and adjusting your expectations, your life will change for the better. Once you know what your definition of passion is, it's time to look at what your end goal is. It's crucial that you uncover how you'll know that you're living a passionate life. What are the signs that signify that you've arrived? It's rarely money, wealth, fame, or any of those things. It's usually something beyond that. So your second question should be, how do I know I'm living a passionate life? In the past, Henry Gentile believed money was the answer to everything. That belief was shattered when, as a professional poker player, he had enough money to travel the world and do what he wanted, yet he still felt like something was missing. That's because he discovered that happiness, joy, and passion come from the inside. Chapter 3. Your journey to success doesn't end when you found your passion. It only just begins. A question to consider is how you'd behave once you start living a passionate life and everything seems perfect. It's also important to ask yourself what is stopping you from living like that now. Asking yourself questions means you get to touch base with your feelings regularly. You should always remember that the word passion is merely a label. It's a word, and like all words, it means something more. Write down all the things you'll do when you found your passion. If you have nothing to say, write whatever comes up, even if it seems random. You can say, when I find my passion, I will finally surf, or whatever you have in mind. If your brain starts to feel overloaded, it is a sign that you're changing your thought process and making a tremendous effort. Asking yourself these questions is a lot like going to the gym. Right after, your muscles will hurt, but within a few days, your muscles will have grown stronger, faster, and better. It's scary to jump into the unknown. That's why many people would rather keep attending seminars, reading books, and pretending to make changes. Ultimately, it's up to you to take responsibility for your life. Henry Gentile. An important part of living a passionate life is your mindset. What's that one belief you have about yourself that keeps you from finding and following your passion? Beliefs seem real because that's their job. If your beliefs fell apart at the drop of a hat, your life would be a mess. You need to ask yourself what your limiting beliefs are. Whatever it may be, notice that these are merely ideas that you have. Ask yourself, what would I have to do to live a passionate life? This question will show you what's holding you back, and as you know, most of the time, you're the only one holding yourself back. Sometimes it takes hearing from others to get the answers to our questions. You can also ask yourself, what do others ask me to help them with? This question reveals what other people think you are good at and can lead you to your passion. Chapter 4. Your personality type can reveal so much information about you. There are personality tests out there that are quite good at revealing a person's personality type. Start with the questions, what's my personality? If you go into negative territory at first, let it be okay. Bring yourself back to the positive aspects of your personality. Once you're done exploring, you can try personality tests online. We have all these ideas of what we can and can't do. We often grow up with family, friends, and society telling us what's possible. We learn to suppress our natural passions. It's not easy to uncover them, but you've already begun the process. Next, look at your strengths. When you tap into your strengths, you'll experience increased happiness and decreased depression in your life. It doesn't matter if you're stuck in a job you don't like, because when you start using more of your strengths, you'll become happier and, yes, more passionate about life. You can find your strengths by thinking of activities you like and doing them. Write down the things that come easy to you and think of the possible obstacles to them. Try as hard as you can to come up with alternatives to those obstacles so you can start doing the things you love. Did you know? There are many personality tests, but the Myers-Briggs personality test was created by Catherine Cook Briggs and her daughter Isabel Briggs Myers in the early 1960s. Chapter 5. Past interests can be predictors of future ones. Sometimes our passion is just in front of us. We cannot see it because we've gotten so caught up in the stress of daily activities. At this point, you need to ask yourself what your interests are/were. You've explored your interests before. Do it again, and this time, you do it without censoring yourself. Just write whatever comes to mind. How can you know you've arrived if you don't know what you're after? Henry Gentile. At this point, you also need to ask yourself what you really want. Maybe people told you your dreams are impossible, so you had to settle for something more practical. Those hidden dreams are valid, and you don't need to listen to anyone who tries to deny that fact. What would you want if no one had ever told you no? It doesn't have to be your passion, but it can give you an idea. It is counterproductive to answer all of the questions at once. Take breaks. You can use these prompts to ask yourself more questions. When I was younger, I always wanted to... What I want, but secretly think I can never have, do, be, is... The reason I want that is because... I want to contribute to the world by... If no one told me no, I would have wanted... It is okay to write the things that you think about in the middle of the night. Your ideas could be the next big thing, and you don't want them dying in your mind. Chapter 6. Your knowledge of the things you don't want will help you make the right choices. Ask yourself, what do I want? Try not to settle for a superficial answer. Ask yourself why you don't like some things. Be more detailed with your answers and write down the things that make you feel overwhelmed, sad, or overly tired. Keep diving deeper. Go into more and more detail. Even when you run out of things to say, keep asking yourself why and how. To reconnect with your inner self, you have to make a decision to listen. Sometimes life can get so difficult that one may be inclined to give up. You should ask yourself, what would happen if I gave up? Everyone has an inner GPS that's ready to guide you when you're tired and ready to give up. If you ever feel like giving up, remember your reasons for starting in the first place. Just try not to take life too seriously while working on your goals. Most of us are too busy to pay attention to our inner GPS. We're so focused on getting things done that we forget to relax. We forget to take breaks. You don't have to sit down on a pillow to meditate. All you have to do is to become aware of your thoughts right now. You don't even have to try and quiet your mind. You just have to observe. Ask yourself, what is my inner voice whispering? Finding answers to this question can show you hidden gems within your mind and avail you the opportunity to relax. During childhood, it was easier to come up with ideas of what you want and pretend to be someone you are not. Now, it is a little harder, but what if you can gain insight into your goals if you pretend to be something you're not? Ask yourself, if I pretend to know, what would my passion be? This question allows you to dream beyond any limitations and stimulates the creative parts of your brain. Chapter 7. The fear of failure can do more harm than failure itself. Many times people do not start working on ideas because they're scared of failing. Sometimes it feels easier to keep putting off ideas because we want them to be perfect. All these things we do are just the result of the fear of failure. The fear of failure can be positive in the sense that it can prevent you from rushing into decisions. When you allow yourself to feel the fear of failure completely, you'll be able to conquer it and start your journey. Ask yourself, what would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? If you feel scared, allow that feeling to pass before you then start implementing your decisions. When you think of the things you'd do if failure was non-existent, you'll realize your true dreams. Conversely, you should ask yourself, if I was guaranteed success, what would I do? Feel free to dream as big as you want. Make a list of all the things you'd do if a genie granted your wishes for one night. Focus on what makes you happy and just make the list. There are no guarantees in life, but you can dream without any boundaries. The older you get, the more dreams you're likely to have. But do you think there are things you could have done differently? Ask yourself, in the future, when you're already living a passionate life, what advice would you give to your present self? Imagine you've stepped into the future and keep your imagination without limitations. Chapter 8. Change begins with a single person and a single step. The thing about change is that it begins with something you are passionate about. If you don't care enough about something, you wouldn't bother changing it. So ask yourself, what makes your blood boil? When you find out the things that make you angry or make your blood boil, you should then ask what you can do about the situation. This will help you determine the next step you need to take. Certainty is a myth, but you can keep following your heart until you find your passion. Sometimes when you find the things you are passionate about, you hardly ever stay through them long enough to actually make an impact. Ask yourself, when last was I in the state of flow? You shouldn't force progress, but you should always try to measure how well you are doing. The longer you spend in your state of flow, time spent doing what you are passionate about, the more you can accomplish. As hard as you try, there will always be doubts lurking around your heart. Sometimes you are not even sure of yourself. This can be really annoying and stressful. Try to figure out what those doubts are by asking yourself this: how does not knowing what I want stop me from taking the next step? Chapter 9. There's even more work to do when you become successful. One would think that the work ends when they're successful, but does it? The answer is no. It takes an even greater amount of work to maintain the successful life that you have achieved. This can be scary, but you should ask yourself this: what are the disadvantages of living a passionate life? This will highlight the parts that you are most scared of and show you how you need to channel your energy moving forward. You sabotage your dreams when you keep thinking of disaster scenarios. Your dreams can look scary, but that's probably a good sign. It means you are moving forward and trying different things. Ask yourself, what would I do if I weren't afraid? Make a list of whatever comes to mind. You can do all those things. Follow your bliss and the universe will open doors for you where there were only walls. Joseph Campbell. So imagine you've conquered your fears and achieved your dream life. What would you do with all the money? Would you work on yourself, or would you buy all the clothes in the world? This question is important because it shows where your priorities lie. If your first instinct is not to improve your goals or work on something you're passionate about, you can take the time to figure out why this is so. Conclusion. Nobody is going to live forever. You only have here and now to make all the changes. This might be a good time to ask yourself this: what would I do if I had just 5 years to live? When you've made that list, you will realize all the important things you want. Focus on them. Living a passionate life doesn't happen overnight. It's hard work, and it's not as glamorous as people make it out to be. However, this doesn't mean you shouldn't go after it. It simply means that it takes more work than you'd expect. But it's work worth doing because once you gain momentum, your life will change. You will feel more fulfilled, excited, and happy. You will start waking up in the morning being grateful for the life you're living. Finally, ask yourself this: what action can I take here and now? Think of the next possible step you can take and just do it. Try this. Take breaks and daydream. Let your brain chew on what you've learned here. Don't be in a rush to figure things out because they'll figure themselves out in time. Make a list of all the things you are passionate about changing and see how you can take the next tiny step.